So I was about to say, are you ready to hear a word from the Lord? And then I thought, there's that Cavs guy that goes, are you ready, Cavs fans? And then like people scream and stuff. And I don't think that's the response I would have gotten if I said, are you ready for a word from the Lord? So let's think about it that way. You're about to hear something that hopefully God put on my heart for us to learn something about. So are you ready to hear a word from the Lord? Yeah. All right, so let's hope that's where this is coming from instead of from Paul. So if you paid attention just now to the scripture, I know some of you were thinking of laundry and some other cool things you had to do, but for those of you that did pay attention, you probably were like, can we leave now? Like, wait, is this some Old Testament stuff that got confusingly put in Acts? Like, this is not, like, what? Like, and if you didn't hear it, I'm going to go over it with you again. Like, I wish I paid attention to that thing. It sounded like it was interesting. We'll get to it. We're in the book of Acts. Pastor Tom has been going through the beginning of Acts and talking about this beginning of our church, how the church started. And I'm kind of jumping in here in this next scripture verse in chapter 5. And if you don't know about the book of Acts, it's kind of the quick start guide to church, I guess. Have you bought any electronics recently? Anybody? Bought an Amazon Fire Stick? They know now that people don't read directions. They still give you the giant directions book in like 17 languages, but now they know that you're going to break their stuff and complain if they're false. They send you this little folded up thing that says quick start manual, and you open it up and it says, if at least the people do these 3 things, then they won't break the thing and we can at least use it and they'll be happy. So it's kind of like, I think, how I look at somewhat of the book of Acts. We got the big story and all the excitement of the life, the birth of Jesus and his ministry and all the miracles. And then we got Jesus, being put on trial and then suffering and dying on the cross. And then he comes back on the 3rd day and rises from the dead. And then he tells the disciples all this cool stuff. And he's like, go out and do stuff. And he sends them off, and then he goes up to heaven. And then we get to the book of Acts. Like, well, so what do we do with this? And you got to imagine maybe some disciples who we call apostles now going, do you know how to start stuff? Like, I don't know. Do you know how to start stuff? I guess we just talk about good things. And that's one of my favorite things because there were no Christians yet. I'm a history guy, and I like that they called it the way. Jesus had no intention of starting a church. He just talked and did things and loved people, and he said, you guys should do what I do. And he wanted people to be that way, but he had no intention to start. There were no Christians. They just called themselves the way. We are followers of the way, which makes it sound really cool, Jedi, like Star Wars, we follow the way. And it sounds neat. I kind of want to follow the way myself, which I hope I'm doing. So they have this thing called the way, and people meet together, and they're liking each other, they're being kind to each other, and the rich and poor there's no social classes, which would have been really crazy back then, because social classes were important in the Middle East, and like who was ranked where, and like everybody just treated everybody with respect and love, and the church was growing exponentially, like people were just coming in, and miracles are happening, and so right before the scripture verse that was just read by Phil, a story happened that was little, but at the time, the church was probably a big deal. A guy named Joseph, who was a member of the Way, that had been coming to the meetings and enjoying stuff, had a big piece of property. And he took it and sold it. And he sold his piece of property, and he gave all of it to the apostles and said, help everybody. Whoever needs it, let them have it. Pretty cool, right? Now, on top of this, they didn't even call him Joseph. They called him Barnabas, which is a nickname, which means the encourager. Like, this is the dude that everybody's like, oh, Barnabas, you're so awesome. And, like, he didn't want any credit, but everybody's coming up, patting him on the back, and, like, you're so awesome. And so he does this, and it's like, wow. He didn't want anything for it. He didn't want the praise. He just felt like things were so cool in this church. Here's what I'm going to do to give. Now, in pops people that think a little bit more like me in the scripture here, which was like, I want people to pat me on the back. I want, like, this is cool and all, and I love the way, and I'm friends with everybody, but I want people to like me. How do I do that? And this couple named Ananias and Sapphira had some land. And they thought, maybe we could be cool like that. Now, I don't know if they got corrupted at the beginning right away, because they're like, we're going to get praise too for our land, or if it was a little later. I have a kind of a feeling that it was when this happened that they started getting a little corrupted, but they went and sold a piece of land. Imagine that you guys are here and you're loving church, and you're all, church is awesome, and I love this place, and I'm going to sell my big piece of property I've been saving up for retirement. We're just going to give it so that people can have stuff. That's a big decision. That's not something you just do like, no, I'm just going to sell my land. Like, you think about that. And so they did. So that was kind of bold. And even though they may have had different reasons for it, it's like, that's a big decision. But then I kind of think when they got that money, and the bank was like, here you go, and they're like, oh, I mean, think about it. Like, even if it wasn't the biggest piece of property in Chardon somebody sold, it's like $150,000, $160,000, and you're like, oh, I mean, $80,000 to the church is still a lot of money. Maybe I should keep some of this for ourselves. We can go to Disneyland or maybe take a cruise or whatever in case our thatched roof falls in and we need a new one. We might want this. And so they decide together to conspire. They say, you know what? We're going to maybe keep part of this and we'll give it back. I mean, honestly, who could possibly know what we really got for the house? And that's a lot of money. They'll be psyched anyway. But instead of telling the truth, they said, we'll just say this is everything. That way people will think we're just as cool as Joseph. And they'll pat us on the back and they'll think we're great. So, for whatever reason, which I find interesting, Ananias goes by himself first to Peter. I think the two of them got together to conspire for this. They wanted to praise together. I don't know if he's just that guy. So yeah, I'm just going over to hang out with my bros over here. And it's like, are you going to give the money? No. But so he goes and shows up to Peter and thinking, nobody knows what's going on here. I got this money. I'm going to get praise. He's like, look what we did. We sold our property and we're giving all the money to the church. And Peter's like, oh no. Because now the Bible, I think most of the scholars say that God gave him a revelation to know about it. I'm guessing that Peter's one of those people that just sits on the Zillow app like all day and he's all like, what kind of real estate's available today in outer Jerusalem? And he's all, Ananias and Sapphira have a nice place and whatever. And he's all, here's your money. And he's all, that's like a third of this estimate of your house. There's no way you sold it for that cheap. And so, but any way you look at it, he calls him out and he's like, that's not all the stuff. Now, I hate to go here because I don't want to break all your hearts. I know probably at least 3/4 of you were expecting this. It's not a money sermon today. I'm not talking about giving, and you know that your hearts are broken. You can come back some other time and we'll have one of those, but today has nothing to do with that. Because right afterwards, what happens is, Peter goes, it has nothing to do with what you gave, bud, but you lied. Like, that was yours. You didn't have to sell the property. You didn't have to give all the property. You could have given a little bit. You could have given half. That was yours to do with what you wanted. God didn't need that. He doesn't have to have that. That was your gift to give how you wanted. But what you did was you lied, and not to us. You lied to God. And then, boom, drops over dead. Now, we're going to talk about that in a minute, because that's like, what? Like, are you sure this belongs in the New Testament? Or why didn't they edit that out? Like, you think that was like a typo? Like, let's just not put that in there. Because we're trying to start a church here, and people give money to the church and then die? This doesn't seem like a good, yeah, you didn't give enough. Done. Now, it gets worse because they take him off and bury him, and then 3 hours later his wife shows up, doesn't know any of this happened. So again, like, what, really, dude? Like, you went to get all the fame for yourself, and so she comes up. And Peter apparently knows the estimate of the house property. He does not know that they were conspiring. But she comes up and he says, so was this the amount that you paid? You got a good job for giving the church? She says, yeah. And he's like, are you kidding me? You were in on this? And then he says, you lied to God too. I can't believe you let Satan corrupt you like that. She drops over. Whoa. So, Paul, are you trying to tell me that we give stuff to the church, we die? We don't, we lie to God little bits, he's going to take us down. And the answer to that question is no. Am I going to tell you that God takes sin seriously? Yes. I will tell you that sin is crucial. And so there's a couple directions to go on this. But to kind of explain this, I'm going to go into the trust tree. I'd like you to come with me. We're going to be in the trust tree together. We're not going to judge Paul, okay? I make lots of mistakes, and in my life I've done wrong things before, and I've grown to change. And I still make stupid mistakes and do things, which is why I come to church all the time. This is a place for people. I know most of you guys don't make mistakes, but I like to think the church is a place where we come to learn how to be better and that we don't judge people for mistakes. So when I was little, so we're in the tree now, we're not judging me. Boys and girls, do not do this. This is a bad thing that Paul did when he was little because he was influenced and he's ashamed of himself, but it helps people learn about God, so we're going to put it out there. Okay? When I was somewhere in, I'm guessing, like 9 to 11 years old range, I had a cousin. My cousin was a bit more cool in the, like, leather motorcycle-y type cool thought. You know, like the guy that gets in trouble and gets away with it guy, okay? He didn't have a motorcycle yet, but you're getting the gist. Like, I'm cool and I'm going to do stuff. And he just got away with a lot of things that I didn't get away with in the country. He came from the city. He was wise in ways that probably weren't the best influence on me. And he comes down to visit. And it was a nice day, and I'm picturing that my mom and dad and his mom and dad are visiting my grandma and probably playing pinochle or something that people do. And we're left alone with my cousin. So me and my little brother and cousin, somewhere in this 9 to 11 years old range, are in my house. And my cousin says, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pick up the phone, and we're gonna call the operator. Now, for everyone who is my age or older, I don't need to stop the sermon, but for anyone who is younger than the age of probably 40, 30-something in here, you have to listen to this side note. Smartphones haven't always existed. Cell phones haven't always existed. And before that, some of you have grandparents that still have these in the house, the little phone that clicks into a base and you pick it up and you walk around, but it's not really a cell phone, but it's kind of cordless, okay? Even before those, there were phones on the wall. And it was attached to a twisty cord thing that if you had a girlfriend in high school, you had to take it to another room and shut the door on the cord so you could talk to her. Okay? Now, the scariest part of all this, go figure this out, and adults probably, you forgot this too, you're going to have a little cringe to you too. There was no such thing as caller ID. So you didn't have any idea who was calling, and if you're a person like me that can't stand to not know what's happening, you always had to answer the phone because what if it was somebody important? So you had no idea who it was until you answered the phone. Okay? Are you guys with me now? So weird device attached to wall by cord, and you can't go anywhere with it except there, and there's no caller ID. That's what a phone used to be. So now back to the story. My wild, dangerous cousin that teaches me to do things that I probably shouldn't do says, we are going to pick up the phone. Again, not suggesting people do this. This was a bad thing that Paul did was little. We're going to pick up the phone, and we are going to dial O. Now, O, back then, called a person called the operator. Who is this mysterious person? I don't know. They're a person that just answers the phone and goes, hello, operator, may I assist you? Where are you from? What do you do, operator? Why are you just in the button 0 when I call you? I've never needed your assistance. What would you assist me with? I don't think you're real. But we will call this person, and when they answer, we're going to swear at them and then laugh and hang up. Told you, I've grown some. So my cousin picks it up. Now we listen on the other line. Now I'll explain other lines in another sermon or at Digging Deeper. If you want to come afterwards and ask me questions about the insanity that we're learning right now, you can check that. But so he does it. We're like, oh my gosh, that was so dangerously scary and funny, and we laugh and we hang up the phones. And so then my cousin does it again, and he hangs up the phone. Now I have to go, I'm going to do it. My brother's like, do it. And I'm like, okay. So I call up, beep, 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 and I hang up the phone. And we're like, oh my gosh, we're so horrible, bad people. Look at us. And we think we're so awesome for doing this horrible thing to people. And we keep doing it for like, I don't know, 10 minutes, and then we get bored of it. And my cousin, in about an hour, his parents were about done visiting. They were going to drive a long trip home to the city. And so he goes home. Now it's a nice day outside. My mom and dad go back out to the garden. And my brother and I are stuck inside, sitting here instead of course, doing what normal kids would do, play outside. We're sitting inside going, it's bored. And so I look at him, he looks at me, and I'm like, yeah, we're calling. So I grab the phone, and I call, and I beep, 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 and I hang up. And then my brother laughs, and he calls again, beep, 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 and hangs up. And so for the third time, I go, and I go, beep, 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 and then for just a second, I hesitate, and I hear a voice in the background. And the voice says numbers that sound oddly familiar to me. The voice says 614-926-1376, Harvey Hagen, call that back. And I'm like, oh no, what's that? You can't know my number. How could you? Are you like psychic? And I hang up the phone, I'm like, what's happening, what's happening, what's happening? And then it rings, and I'm like, oh. And I grab the phone and I answer it, and they go, this is the operator, where are your parents? I'm like, no, they're out, can't talk. And they're like, you put your parents on the phone right now. I'm like, no, they can't, they're not even here. Like, please don't. And I start hyperventilating, crying. I'm like, and my cousin waiting, talking, and my parents will kill me. Please don't call them ever. And they're like, I will, you are gonna. And I'm like, somewhere in my sad freak out happening, I must have won them over enough to think that my life would be ended if they didn't contact my parents. And they said, if it ever happens again, I will be calling your parents until they answer. You'll be in big trouble. Don't you ever do this again. I'm like, I'll never in my life do anything wrong. I hung up the phone, and for weeks, when the phone would ring, I thought it was the operators tearing me out. I thought they were going to get me. And just to let you know, I always tell people like I'm a goody two-shoes, and partly because I always got busted for everything. It telltale-hearted me so much that 3 months later I told on myself anyway, because I couldn't take it anymore. And believe me, 3 months later I got grounded for like a month, and I said, come on. So you will get grounded at some point. So why do I bring all this craziness up? Have you ever had a moment like that where something that was fake and couldn't hurt you became something that had power and you freaked, like you got busted, and that pain that somewhere between like here and here-ish, like there was that like lightning / fire burning sensation and you thought you might die? You see, that's what I think happened to Ananias and Sapphira, because they lived in a time when people actually still valued royalty, when people were still reverent to deities, when people looked at God, or gods in the case, because there were a lot of polytheistic religions back then where people believed in many gods, and they sacrificed things, and they literally thought so much of God that when they heard it come to real words, when they realized what they had done, it was so overwhelming to them that they literally had a heart attack and died on the spot. That pain that I felt, that complete shock through my system when I was a kid, imagine that when people truly believed that God affected their eternity. And imagine the fact that I can sit here and talk to you about that in a way that says, when people used to believe that God affected their eternity. You see, I feel like that's the reason why this got to stay in the Bible. That's the reason why God said, yeah, it doesn't sound very nice, but we're going to leave that one in there. Not to scare people and say, if you do this stuff, if you lie to God, you're going to drop over. It was because we've lost that ability to have reverent fear of anything. We look at our leaders and make fun of them. There are no kings and queens anymore that just have that just air of royalty and respect. It's like we don't know what it means to revere anyone. I bet there's some people in here still who have a grandparent left that you would die if they found out some things that you did, because you respected them so much that if they ever had to think less of you, it would kill you in one way or another. It's that kind of reverence that God is supposed to have with us, and it's the word fear. And I hate to even use it because I don't want to ever make people think that God, that I spend time playing guitar and practicing and writing sermons and doing things because I value him as my creator and his son, my savior, is somebody to be feared like a scary movie, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a fear like fire. We all have fire. We know what fire does, but the fact that we value it, that we respect it, that we know how dangerous fire can be, we take it real seriously when we use it, don't we? And yet I think that for a lot of us, God is like the operator on the phone. Doesn't have any power. It's far, far away. We never talk to him. It's not even really a real person. What's it ever going to do to my life? And the sad part is one day the operator is going to call back. Are we ready for that? And so what can we glean from this? Well, partly the fact that happened, but two, we can glean a little bit of why sin is taken so seriously by God here. You see, the church was a baby when this happened. It was infantile. It was the very beginning of what this church is that we have now. Now, why aren't people dropping over? There was a scholar that said every church would be a morgue, and every pastor would have to have two corners on staff if God judged like he did then. But our church is strong. It's huge now, millions. And even though it happens, we can survive. In the early days, they were worried that if Satan had gotten in there, if Satan's corruption had come in with greed and pride and jealousy, the church might not have made it out of that baby stage. And so God does care about sin. He doesn't want it. It doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. We're people. The reason he sent his son is because he knew we would continue to do it. That we have a hard time avoiding that, and that we have an enemy. If you've ever heard me talk before, I believe that there is a Satan who is trying to take down specifically people who do good. People who want to have that relationship with God. And what does he do to Ananias and Sapphira? When they're trying to be a part of this church, when they think to do something cool, like, was there anything wrong with what? They were still, even if it was for pride, they were giving lots of money to the church, which was for what purpose? To do good. Whether they had all the best intentions or not, they were still trying to do the right things and learning in there. And what does Satan do? It's like, oh, these guys are trying to do good stuff. I can't defeat the church by taking down Jesus. I can't defeat the church by trashing the disciples and throwing them in jail. Maybe I'll infect it from the inside. And thousands of years later, what do you still see happening? With leadership and people. And I ask people, when I find people that are hurt by the church, it's usually the leadership or people in the church that made them not want to be a part of the church, not people outside the church. It's people that they came and trusted and liked and thought they were good friends and found out they were just like everybody else. And that's a huge fear I have being up here when I ask, like, God, what am I doing up here? I make so many mistakes. There's so many times when I don't ever want somebody to look at me and go, so that's who you really are. Thanks a lot, big guy.
It's tough to do all this stuff. But when there's a reverent fear of God, when you say, you know what, you're up there, and I care about your opinion of me, because you see everything. I think before I do stuff. And you wonder if Ananias and Sapphira had thought ahead of time and said, hey, we're not lying to the church to get praise. We're lying to God. Our eternal Father who sees all of it. Maybe they would think twice. And then you start thinking about how does that apply to our lives as Christians in this church when we act a certain way, when we allow ourselves to think that our momentary weaknesses, our need to be right, our need for pride or greed or jealousy or wanting to do something clouds us long enough to offend one person. And that's the scary part, because had they have been allowed to infect the early church, how many lives would have been changed? Not just them, so many others. And when you erase the bank ledger to save a couple bucks here and there for your business, and we've seen corporations drop where some guy throw that guy from embezzling in jail, and he's in jail for 15 years. But what you don't see is he's all about him. But how many people were affected? How many businesses closed? How many people's lives were changed? And you think about the husband or wife who's like, it's just one kiss. I'm feeling needy. And you think about how many lives are affected when that becomes a broken marriage, and then those kids don't have the parents, and all those things change, and you're like, one decision because you had no reverent fear of somebody to keep you squared away, people who cared about you to do that. And what we're getting in this scripture is sin does hurt people. Doesn't mean we're not going to do it, but if we can start saying, look, there is a God that is worth valuing. There is a God out there who watches and knows, and he is majestic and valued and somebody that I should care what he thinks of me. And if we had that in our lives, because our world sure doesn't seem to care about what we think or do, and I look at him and say, you are the reason. You're the one that's making me think twice about what I'm about to do, because I know it's not just going to affect me, it's going to affect other people. That's going to have a chance for us to be different, to be something better, and for people here to be touched and changed, because there are baby Christians all around us, and people who don't know where they want to be, and they may be right in here where they're thinking, I don't know if I want to be a part of a place like this. I don't know if I want to be around people like this. I've been hurt too many times. And the little actions that we do, the words that we say, the care that we give, the time that we start to do something, we think, you know what? Would God like this? I don't think he would. I'm going to change my mind. Maybe the difference between them and their children and their grandchildren, every person whose life is touched by that being a part of the kingdom of God or being a part of something else. So I wish I had some cool way to spin this and do something funny like I like to do at the end of the service, but I don't. This is what I was given for a sermon today, and I think God wanted us to hear deep down in there that he deserves the kind of fear that brings wisdom, the kind of fear that allows you to sleep at night knowing that there is someone up there that is so powerful and so knowing that if we honor and respect him, he's got us. That we might sleep in peace at night knowing that. So I ask that you think about it, that you think about the value that you put on your relationship with God, that you think about the fact that we're all together on this. I make mistakes. I'm probably going outside to make a mistake next. Who knows? I probably made 2 while I was up here. Someone may be offended by something I said already, but I'm going to learn, and I'm going to try to be reverent to God, to try to say what I do affects more than just me. It affects his world here, and I want to be a part of that. So I hope that you think about it, and when you think of God, think about me and that operator, and the fact that one day God's going to call. And I'm hoping that when he calls, it's not the feeling that I got, and the feeling that Ananias and Sapphira got when God called, and that lightning shock fire feeling that you get when you get busted. But instead it's a feeling of, yeah, I can look at you and say, I tried. I made my mistakes, God, but I thought of you first before I made my choices. Would you pray with me? God, I thank you for this group that came in here. I thank you for the group that's outside, and I thank you for all the people that we don't even know about, because they may be touched by something that you can do, God, because you are powerful and good, and the things that you do are life-changing. So God, please help us to feel like no matter where we're at, we can still love on you. We can still value you. We can still respectfully, reverently fear you, and not scary fear, God, but the kind that we give to a grandma or grandpa that we love and that we just wouldn't want to ever think bad of us. That way we might trickle and affect and touch the lives of other people in ways we don't even know. That they might get to know you more and make this world just a cooler, better place to be. So God, I thank you for all this. Let our week go out there and be energized and be something where we can be proud to say that we know you and we know you in this place. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.